Welcome back. Tonight, you're not just going to listen to history, you're going to live inside it. Poorly. You are not a knight, not a scholar, not a merchant with exotic spices. You're you, lying on a straw pile in a crumbling tenement in 1348, as the Black Death plays hide-and-seek with your entire neighborhood. Forget torchlit banquets, courtly dances, and chivalry. This is damp straw, a pot of mystery stew with one bone and no name, and a priest too scared to knock. You probably won't survive until noon. But on the bright side, your lice seem to have lost interest. That's never a good sign. Like and subscribe if your fingers haven't stiffened yet, and drop a comment. When's the last time you bathed? Bonus if the soap didn't bite back. Now dim the lights. Wrap yourself in a scratchy blanket that might be shared with a rat, and close your eyes. Just long enough to imagine what it feels like to cough and wonder, was that the one? Congratulations. It's 1:34:08. The bells are ringing. Not for church. For you. You're alive. But you really shouldn't be. You wake up to the sound of bells. Not church bells. Not wedding bells. Funeral bells. Again, your back screams. You're lying on straw. Not hay. Straw. Hay is for animals. Straw is for people who can't afford hay. Something just crawled across your neck. You hope it's a flea. You really, really hope it's not another rat. You shift and immediately regret it. Your joints feel like they were forged in a cursed blacksmith shop. Your blanket is damp. So is your shirt. So is the floor. So is everything. You sit up slowly, like a centuries-old tree, deciding whether it's worth the effort. Your breath fogs in the morning air. But it's not winter, just cold. Because your roof is technically more whole than roof. Beside you, your younger brother coughs. Not the cute kind. The kind of cough that rattles in the bones and ends with something wet hitting the ground. You glance over. He's pale. He's shivering. He's still breathing. For now. Across the room, your mother stirs. She hasn't spoken since Tuesday. You don't ask why. Everyone stopped asking questions last week. The smell? It's a mix of sweat, rot, boiled cabbage, and despair. You've gone nose blind, mostly. Your first thought of the day, still alive. Your second thought was for what? You hear a cart pass by the alley. Wheels grinding, wood creaking. Then the familiar voice. Bring out your dead. It's not a joke. It hasn't been a joke for months. You stare at your front door. You don't move. Not yet. Your father didn't come home last night. Maybe he's working. Maybe he's dead. Maybe he's both. That's a thing now. You pick the lice from your sleeve like you're grooming hope. You don't find any. Which is more concerning. You stand. Sort of. Your knees crack like old wood. Your hip makes a noise you didn't know hips could make. You pretend it's normal. Because it is now. Breakfast time. Which is a generous phrase. You shuffle to the hearth. The fire's out. Again. The wood ran out yesterday. So did the neighbor's fence. You may have helped with that. You reach for the pot. It's been sitting there since Monday, possibly longer. The surface has a skin, not metaphorical. You stir it. Bad idea. A bubble forms, pops, and releases something that could be classified as a war crime. It's pottage, leftover barley, wild onion, one mystery bone, and hope. Mostly hope. You pour some into a wooden bowl that used to be round. A chunk slips out. You tell yourself It's turnip. It's probably not. You sit and blow on it. Steam rises. You hope it's steam. Your little sister joins you. She has dirt on her face and 2 teeth missing. Not from the plague, from life. She asks if there's honey. You both laugh. You're not sure why. From outside, the rooster crows. It's noon, so the rooster is either dying or confused. You relate. The stew tastes like desperation and old socks. It burns your tongue, then freezes your stomach. You chew slowly, because chewing fast means knowing what it is. You look over at the bread. Rock hard. Literally. You could use it to defend the village. You try to soak it in the stew. It floats, like it's trying to escape. You eat it anyway. Your teeth scream. Your jaw begs for mercy. You keep chewing, because it's that, or hunger. Then someone outside screams. Not the painful kind, the discovery kind. Someone found a new body. You look down at your bowl, then at your family, then back at the door. You keep eating, because that's all you can do. You hear the wheels before you see them. A low creak, a soft thud. Creak, thud, creak, thud. Like the rhythm of death taking a morning stroll. You peek out through a gap in the door. It's him again. Old Gerald, dragging his cart down the street like it owes him money. He's not a priest, not a doctor, just a man with a cart and a job no one asked for. "Bring out your dead," he calls. Voice hoarse like it's seen too much, which it has. Today, the cart is full. Again, limbs poking out at wrong angles, feet dangling. One of them still wearing a shoe, just one. Stylish, you recognize someone. It takes a moment. Swollen face, bruised skin, not the best lighting. But yes, that was Anna. She sold turnips and terrible jokes. You look away. Next door, someone opens a window and lowers a rope. A wrapped body tied like meat at the butcher's. The neighbors don't come outside anymore. They just lower the dead. Gerald nods, unhooks the body, stacks it gently. There's a weird reverence in it, like he's the last person who still believes the dead deserve anything. You step outside, barefoot, because of course you are. He sees you. He stops the cart. "Anyone today?" he asks. Not rude, just routine. You shake your head. "Not today." He nods. "You'll let me know." You don't say anything, because you're not sure. Behind you, someone coughs. Wet, violent, familiar. You don't turn around. You just stand there, in the morning light, watching the cart roll away. Thud, creak, until it's gone. You go back inside. The stew is cold now. You eat it anyway. You used to be a tailor. Technically, you still are. But tailoring implies clients, and clients imply survival. You glance at your needle. It's bent. Again, you straighten it with your teeth. Again, there's iron in your blood, and blood on your iron. Your workshop is the corner of the one room you share with 4 breathing bodies, 2 questionable lumps under a blanket, and 1 bucket labeled "Do Not Kick." You kicked it yesterday. You cried for an hour. There's a half-finished shroud on your lap. You were sewing it for a woman named Elsie. She ordered it last week. She died 2 days ago. No one's come to pick it up. No one will. You keep stitching anyway. It's that, or stare at the wall and name the mold patterns again. You tried naming them alphabetically. You got to G. Gregory is spreading nicely. You sew in silence. No one in your family talks much anymore. Conversation takes energy. Energy takes food. Food takes luck. You have none. Your youngest sibling, possibly still named Martha, sits nearby, picking at lice like it's a full-time job, which, in this economy, it is. You used to sew dresses. Now, it's shrouds, wraps, mourning veils, and plague masks no one can afford and don't work anyway. One time, a merchant asked for a mask with silver threading. You finished it in 2 days. He never came back. You found out later he tried to escape by boat. The rats got there first. You try to focus. Thread in. Knot tight. Stitch. Stitch. Pull. It's the only rhythm that still makes sense. At least fabric doesn't cough. Your fingers bleed. Not metaphorically. You pricked yourself on a rusty pin 3 days ago. The swelling's gone down. Or maybe it's spreading up. Hard to tell. You cover it with cloth and keep going. A knock on the door. You flinch. Knocks don't mean good news anymore. You open it. It's not death. Just close, Thomas, your neighbor. His eyes are wild. His lips cracked. He's missing a shoe and a reason. He holds something out. A bundle of rags. No. Baby clothes. Tiny. Soft. Stained. My daughter, he says. Gone. You nod. Words would be an insult. Can you make her something nice? His voice breaks like your floorboards. You look at the rags. They smell like lavender and last chances. You want to say yes, but your hands are shaking. You can't afford the thread. You can't afford the grief. You say yes anyway, because what else is there? He nods, leaves, doesn't say thank you, doesn't have to. You place the bundle beside the shroud for Elsie, a growing pile of promises no one will see fulfilled. You try to work. You try to pretend the seams still matter, that symmetry is still sacred, that the straight line of a stitch is something you can control in a world where everything else is bleeding sideways. But your eyes blur. You're not sure if it's tears, hunger, or mold fumes. You blink, shake your head, jab the needle in. Too deep, you yelp, blood again. The shroud is stained. You stare at it. It's ruined, but also improved. Red is dramatic. Maybe it's fashion forward. Maybe death appreciates flair. You laugh. It sounds wrong. Then you stop laughing because someone outside is screaming again. Another house, another body, another cart. You sigh. Then you pick up the next piece of cloth and you sew, because that's what you do, until your fingers fail, or the fever comes, whichever gets there first. It's noon. You know this, because the sun is directly above. The rooster crowed twice out of sync, and your stomach sounds like it's trying to file a formal complaint. Time for lunch. Or what passes for it. You check the pot. Still the same one. Still the same stew. Still bubbling in defiance of God, science, and anything remotely appetizing. You stir it once, just to feel something. A gray chunk floats to the top. You poke it. It doesn't poke back. So that's a win. There's no meat. There hasn't been for weeks. Unless you count unidentifiable protein, in which case, congratulations, you're eating like royalty. You add some stale barley. It lands with a plop so disheartening, you briefly consider not being alive. Someone hands you a spoon. It's wooden, splintered, possibly cursed. You eat anyway. First bite, warm sadness. Second bite, chewy memory of something that used to be edible. Third bite, your tooth wobbles. You keep chewing. You don't care anymore. Across from you, Your mother stares at the wall. She's been doing that a lot. You assume she's still with us. She blinks sometimes. Your sister hums a tune she doesn't remember the words to. It's the same 3 notes. Over and over. It makes your eye twitch. You don't ask her to stop. It's the only music left in the house. Your neighbor Thomas joins you. Uninvited, but welcomed. He sits on the floor, back to the door, holding a cracked bowl like it's holy. No one speaks. You ladle out a portion. He nods. That's enough. Then someone says it. At least it's not the plague. And just like that, the silence is murdered. Your mother blinks twice. Your sister stops humming. You drop your spoon. You all stare at Thomas. He shrugs. I mean, we've had worse winters. You open your mouth to argue, but then, he's not wrong. At least in the plague, people stop asking for rent. At least in the plague, no one cares if your cow died. At least in the plague, you get left alone. You sip the stew again. It tastes a little better now. Or your standards have collapsed entirely. Same difference. Your brother enters, holding something behind his back. Look, he whispers. It's a turnip. Lumpy, misshapen, possibly cursed. He smiles like it's treasure. Where did you... Don't ask. You don't. He peels it with a knife that's more rust than blade, slices it thin, adds it to the pot. Now the stew has color, if grayish-purple counts. You all wait in tense, hopeful silence as it simmers again. 5 minutes later, you serve a second round. Now with vegetable. It still tastes like regret, but a healthier regret. Your sister hums again. Your mother blinks slower. Thomas burps and apologizes to no one in particular. We'll be fine, someone says, and for half a second, you almost believe it. Then a bell rings outside. Not a dinner bell. The bell. Another body, Thomas mutters. He doesn't get up. No one does. You all just sit there, spooning gray stew, breathing borrowed air, pretending. Pretending this is normal. Pretending tomorrow exists. Pretending this stew is food. You reach for a crust of bread. It breaks in half before you touch it, just like everything else. Still, you eat it, because denial tastes better than truth. And because chewing means you can't scream. You hear footsteps outside, measured, heavy, not panic, not a cart, not death. Worse, a priest. You don't look right away. Maybe he'll pass. Maybe you'll disappear if you stay still. Maybe invisibility is a symptom now. Your sister peeks through the slat. It's Father Edric, she whispers. He's not looking up. That tracks. No one looks up anymore. You used to see him every Sunday, back when Sundays meant something. Back when sermons were about hope. Now they're about why God is probably testing you. Or maybe just done entirely. You open the door a crack, just wide enough to watch without being seen. There he is, Father Edric. Once bright-eyed, bushy-browed, overconfident, now pale, hunched, and reciting prayers like he's trying to convince himself. He walks down the middle of the road, alone, no procession, no incense, just a worn robe, a shaking hand, and a cross so small it might be a splinter. He stops in front of old Hilda's house. The door is open. The smell comes first. You watch. He makes the sign of the cross, says something under his breath, then steps around the doorway, doesn't enter, doesn't bless, just keeps walking. Wait, your brother says, aren't priests supposed to... You all look at him. Poor sweet summer child. Priests used to bless the sick. Now they avoid eye contact. Can't blame them. They're tired of dying too. You step out into the street. You don't know why. Maybe it's the need to feel sun. Maybe it's boredom. Maybe it's hope. No, definitely not that. Father Edric sees you. Stops. Child, he says, go back inside. His voice is strained. His face is gray, not metaphorically. We're hungry, you say. We're scared. We prayed. He flinches, like prayer is something sharp now. God hears you, he says. You don't respond. Because that feels like a lie. Because your uncle prayed, so did your aunt. They both died in the same week, and the dog ate half the Bible. Why isn't he doing anything? Your sister whispers, he always does something in the stories. The priest doesn't answer. His lips move. No sound comes out. Then he turns, walks away, faster than before. You watch his robe flutter like a dying bird. That's it? Your mother croaks behind you. That's all the church can do now? No one answers. You stay outside a bit longer. The sun feels warm, which is suspicious. You glance down the road. Father Edric is gone, like a rumor, like forgiveness. You hear another door slam, a baby crying, the crows cawing like they know something you don't. The priest doesn't answer. His lips move. No sound comes out. Then he turns, walks away, faster than before. You watch his robe flutter like a dying bird. That's it? Your mother croaks behind you. That's all the church can do now? No one answers. You stay outside a bit longer. The sun feels warm, which is suspicious. You glance down the road. Father Edric is gone, like a rumor, like forgiveness. You hear another door slam, a baby crying, the crows cawing like they know something you don't. You sit, you breathe. You try to pray again, but it feels like talking to a ceiling with commitment issues. Still, you whisper something, not for God, for yourself, for the part of you that remembers what hope used to feel like, what Sundays used to sound like, what priests used to promise. You don't expect a reply, but you listen anyway, just in case. It starts with an itch, not a cute itch, not a maybe I forgot to rinse itch. A full body, skin crawling, am I hosting a nest of insects kind of itch. You scratch your neck, then your back, then somewhere you're not proud of, still itchy. Your brother casually mentions you haven't bathed in 12 days, he says, not looking up from chewing bark. Or maybe 14. Time doesn't exist anymore. Fair, you decide to bathe. Bold move. You announce it like it's a royal decree. Everyone stares at you like you've just volunteered for war. Are you sure? Your sister asks, the last one who tried that got pneumonia. You nod. Because this itch is stronger than common sense, you gather what you need. A rusty bucket, a cracked pot, a rag that used to be a sock. One piece of hard soap the size of a rat dropping. And courage, a lot of it. You sneak out to the courtyard. Technically, it's just the space behind the latrine. But if you squint hard enough and give up emotionally, it's a spa. You fill the bucket from the well. The rope squeaks like it's begging for retirement. The water is opaque, not dirty exactly, just haunted. You carry it back like it's holy water. Your arms tremble. Half of it sloshes out. A chicken watches you with judgment. You place the pot over a sad pile of kindling. Strike flint. Once. Twice. 10 times. It sparks, then fizzles. You whisper something unholy. Finally, it catches. You wait. You wait some more. You age 10 years waiting. Eventually the water steams, not boils, just Angrily exhales. You dip your fingers in, too hot. You smile, a moment of triumph, a rare win. So naturally it can't last. The wind picks up. Your fire dies. The steam vanishes like hope. You look up at the sky, gray, disappointed. The weather is always in on the joke. You shrug, strip, and pour. The first splash hits your skin like betrayal. You scream, silently, because everyone's watching, even the chicken. You scrub. The soap breaks in half. One half falls in the mud. You use it anyway. You discover 3 bruises, a patch of moss on your shin, and something moving on your scalp. You stop investigating. You rinse with the rest of the bucket. Your skin turns red, not from heat, just anger. You dry off with the sock rag. It smells like 1342. You feel slightly cleaner, but mostly wet and cold. You wrap yourself in your one dry tunic. It's not clean, just less filthy than the others. You walk back inside. Your family stares. You're damp, dripping, shivering. You did it. You nod. Was it worth it? You sit down. You think. You shiver. No. You whisper. Absolutely not. Your brother tosses you a piece of bark. You chew it in silence, clean, cold, slightly less itchy, still dying. You don't bathe again for 3 weeks. And next time, you just use dirt. You wake up from a nap that felt more like a blackout, the kind of sleep where you dream about warmth and then wake up with a rat on your foot. You brush it off. It squeaks at you like you're the problem fare. You stretch. Bad idea. Something in your spine makes a sound like a snapped wishbone. Even worse, your armpit hurts. You poke it. Soft lump. Tender. Warm. Ah, just what you needed. A new symptom. You say nothing, because announcing symptoms is a great way to get treated like firewood. You stand, slowly, casually, like your body isn't plotting against you. You check the mirror. Well, your reflection in the metal plate. Close enough? You look pale, not poetic, swooning pale, sickly, waxy, fresh corpse pale. You touch your neck. Another bump, smaller. It pulses. You try to convince yourself it's a pimple, a very aggressive, possibly sentient pimple. Your sister walks in. You look tired, which, in plague language, means you look like you've been partially embalmed. You shrug. Just didn't sleep well? Which is true. The coughing from the neighbor's roof kept you up. Yes, the roof. Because he started sleeping up there, for fresh air. He hasn't come down in 2 days. You assume he ascended or fell. You sit by the fire, or what's left of it. It's just warm ashes and 3 half-burnt twigs. You pretend it's cozy. Your mother coughs. Again, the wet kind, the kind that leaves a stain on cloth. No one says anything. She wipes her mouth with a sleeve that's already soaked with other days' coughs. You stare at her, then at your bump. You poke it again. Why? Who knows? Curiosity is a disease too. It's bigger. You exhale, then laugh. Because what else can you do? Your brother peers over. You okay? You nod too fast. He frowns. You're sweating. You glance down. So you are. And you're cold. Your body's confused. So are you. It's just the stew, you mutter. Maybe it's rich. It's not. The stew hasn't changed since last Tuesday. You're just lying now. Skillfully, proudly. You excuse yourself to the corner, pull up your tunic, check your leg. A red spot, splotchy, warm, possibly mocking you. You whisper to yourself, bug bite, just a bug bite. Even the rats look skeptical. You sit back down, stare at the wall, try to meditate. You've never meditated. You start by imagining what it would be like to feel normal again. You get distracted by the thought of cheese. Real cheese, not almost cheese. Not this used to be cheese. Then the bell rings outside, again. But this time, no one reacts. Even the children don't flinch anymore. That's how you know it's bad. Your father stumbles in from the alley. You forgot he was even gone. He's limping. He smells like fear and wet wool. The baker's son, he says. He had the buboes, one on his groin, one under his arm. You nod. And? He exploded. You pause. Exploded? He shrugs. That's what people said. Started swelling like dough, then pop. You glance down at your bump. You cover it with your arm. Sounds. Rare. Your father nods, but not convincingly. The room falls silent, except for the wind and the soft scratching sound of your sister drawing on the wall again. Today, it's a cat with wings. You're not sure what that means. You don't ask. Your father stumbles in from the alley. You forgot he was even gone. He's limping. He smells like fear and wet wool. The baker's son, he says. He had the buboes, one on his groin, one under his arm. You nod. And? He exploded. You pause. Exploded? He shrugs. That's what people said. Started swelling like dough, then pop. You glance down at your bump. You cover it with your arm. Sounds. Rare. Your father nods, but not convincingly. The room falls silent, except for the wind and the soft scratching sound of your sister drawing on the wall again. Today, it's a cat with wings. You're not sure what that means. You don't ask. Your mother coughs again, harder this time. You all look at the stew pot. It bubbles ominously. Someone whispers, "We should boil the ladle." Too late. You excuse yourself again, this time to the back door. You lean against the wall, close your eyes. The lump is throbbing now. So is your head. So is the sky, somehow. You whisper another prayer. This one is shorter. Just 3 words. Not me yet. Then you go back inside, smile, eat the stew because denial is warm, and fear when salted tastes just like hunger. It's almost night, which just means the shadows get darker and everyone coughs louder. You're not religious, or at least you weren't before the rats showed up with a prophecy. But now you pray. Not because you believe, because you're out of options, and screaming into the sky hasn't worked since Tuesday. You sit in the corner, the warmest one, which isn't saying much. Your knees creak like ancient hinges. Your bump aches under your arm like a ticking clock with bad intentions. You fold your hands. They're dirty. They always are. Clean hands are for the dead now. You start slow. Dear God. Nothing happens. No light, no voice, no flickering candle. The candle actually dies. That feels rude. You try again. Look, I don't ask for much. Pause. That's not true. You've asked for warmth, food, safety, and for your uncle to stop snoring like a drowning cow. None of it worked. You adjust. Okay. I ask for everything. But just once, can you? You stop. Because you don't know what to ask for. Healing? Hope? A new tunic that doesn't smell like 1347? You sigh. You stare at the wall in front of you. Cracked, moldy, slightly damp. It's listened more than God has lately. So you change tactics. Hey, wall, you whisper. You got a minute? The wall says nothing, which is polite, honestly. You lay it out, all of it. I've been good, not saintly, but decent. I haven't stolen bread. I gave Thomas my last scrap of fabric. I only cursed twice when I found the second rat nest. The wall continues to offer excellent emotional availability. I'm tired. My bones hurt. My breath smells like fear and boiled cabbage. You lean your head against the stone. It's cold, like everything else. If I make it through this, I swear I'll pause. I'll be better. I'll be kinder. I don't know, hug more? You don't even like hugging. I'll feed the orphans, or at least not yell at them. That's more your speed. You glance sideways. No one's watching. Everyone's in their own bubble of despair. Your brother is asleep with one eye open. Your sister's drawing a rabbit with 3 heads. Your mother is muttering Latin phrases she made up herself. You whisper one last thing to the wall. Please, don't let it be tonight. Then you kiss your fingers and press them against the stone, because why not? Rats lick it. Why can't you? You crawl to your corner, curl up in the scratchiest blanket known to humankind. Your lump is still there. So is the fear. So is the wall. You breathe, slow, shaky. The dark hums around you. No reply, but no new deaths either. You take that as a win. Just before sleep grabs you, you whisper, "Good night, wall." Tell God I'm still waiting. You wake up because you're sweating. Then you realize the fire is out. Then you realize, oh, you're freezing, but also sweating. Fun. You lie still for a moment, trying to decide whether the spinning is in your head or the room has simply given up on physics. The blanket is stuck to you. With what? You choose not to investigate. Your eyes burn, your skin stings, your mouth tastes like regret and the bottom of an old boot. You blink at the ceiling, or what's left of it. A spider blinks back. Probably. You try to sit up, fail, try again. Your body says no, but your bladder says yes. You crawl toward the bucket. Someone has kicked it again, of course. You mutter something sacrilegious, then apologize immediately. Just in case the fever has ears, you catch your reflection in the pot's side. You look alarming, sweaty, swollen, slightly melted, like a wax figure left in the sun. You poke your neck. The bump has grown. It now has its own bump. They're nesting. You smile, because if you don't, you might cry, and crying dehydrates you. You shuffle back to your corner. Your family is asleep, all of them breathing, some more convincingly than others. Your mother is snoring. You're weirdly grateful. Noise. Alive. Silence and concern. Your sister mumbles in her sleep. She says, "Don't eat the rabbit." You make a mental note. You lie down. Try to get comfortable. You can't. Your legs ache. Your spine twitches. Your teeth feel loose. You whisper to yourself, "It's just a cold. It's just a bad stew reaction. It's definitely not the plague." You try to laugh. It comes out as a wheeze. The room spins again. You close your eyes. Bad choice. Behind your eyelids, shadows dance. You see things. Half memories, half fever dreams. The priest, the rats, the stew, the wall. The wall says, "You again." You open your eyes. The fire's still out, but your skin burns. You hear ringing in your ears, or maybe someone's bell. You check. Nope. Just your brain trying out new alarm tones. You curl up tighter, try to sleep. You succeed. Briefly, then wake up shaking. Now you're cold again. Your blanket has betrayed you. You try to pray. Words don't form, only sounds. You whisper, Tomorrow, just tomorrow. Please. That's all you want now. Not healing, not answers. Just the next morning. The fever hums behind your eyes. The bump throbs. Your stomach cramps. Something leaks from your nose. You pretend it's condensation. You press your face into the corner. It smells like mildew and damp wood, which is somehow comforting now. You let the fever wrap around you like a second blanket, one that hisses. Outside, someone screams. Far away. You don't flinch. You don't move. You just breathe, one lung at a time. Your body is no longer your body. It's a battlefield, and you're just lying there, hoping no one declares victory too soon. You drift, not asleep, not awake, in a limbo made of sweat, ache, and imagined warmth. And somewhere, deep inside the haze, you hear it. Still alive? Maybe it's your mother. Maybe it's your own voice. Maybe it's the wall. You don't answer. You're saving your breath for dawn. You wake up? Kind of. Your eyes open, which is promising. One of them sticks for a moment, sealed shut with something unholy. You scrape it open with a fingernail and try not to think about texture. You listen, breathing. Not yours, others. That means you're still not alone. Statistically impressive. You move a toe. It responds. You try a finger. Also responsive. Then your head. Big mistake. A bolt of pain shoots behind your eyes. You groan. It sounds like a dying goat. You don't care. The lump under your arm is still there. You poke it gently. It feels like a bag of wet rice. You regret the decision instantly. You whisper, "Still alive?" Then you say it again, louder, to convince the room. No one replies. Even the rats are on mute this morning. The fire is still out. The coals are cold. You shiver under a blanket that smells like 8 other people and something that once was cabbage. You sit up. You're dizzy. But the floor is familiar. Sticky in one corner, cracked in the other. Comforting. Your sister rolls over, squints at you, and croaks. You didn't die. You nod. She smiles faintly. Try again tonight. She's joking. You think. You crawl toward the water jug. It's empty, of course. You grab the ladle anyway and lick the inside. You don't want to talk about it. Your brother wakes up. He sniffs the air. Something smells like rot. Everyone looks around. No one finds the source. That's worse. Your mother coughs. Still alive, still productive. You glance outside. Gray light filters through the cracks in the wall. The sky is the color of boiled flour. At least it's not raining. You try to stand. Your knees object. Your back creaks like old church pews. Your body is a house with bad plumbing and worse maintenance. But you stand, you walk to the door, open it a crack. The street is quiet. No carts, no bells, no priests. Just wind, carrying the smell of ash and maybe yesterday's regrets. You step outside. The air hits your skin like a slap. Cold, real, alive. You squint toward the horizon. Nothing moves. Not even a chicken. A moment of stillness. Not peace. Just a pause. Your stomach growls. That's encouraging. You hear someone shout down the road, "Anyone dead today?" You don't answer. You're not ready to declare victory. You step back inside. Your sister is drawing again. This time, it's a sun with a face. "It's smiling," she says. "Why?" You ask. "Because it doesn't live here," she replies. Fair. You sit down beside her. The bump still hurts. Your head still spins. But you're here. Alive. Sore. Slightly soup-scented. You look around. Everyone is breathing. No one is screaming. No one is praying. That's either good or very, very bad. You breathe in, cough, then smile. Guess we try again today. No one cheers, but no one cries either. And for now, that's enough. You wake up to the sound of chewing. Not birdsong, not church bells, just chewing. Specifically, something gnawing on the wooden beam above your head. Probably a rat. Possibly your roommate's last toe. You roll over. Bad idea. Your hip cracks like old bread, and the straw mattress greets you with a fresh puff of mildew and regrets. Someone peed in this corner again. Hopefully not you. Probably that new girl, the one with the twitch. You blink toward the sliver of light leaking through the boards. Morning. Again. Against all odds, you've survived the night. You and the itchy red spot climbing your thigh. Next to you, Lucia coughs into a rag. It comes up pink. You pretend not to notice. Your other roommate, Mariella, snores like a drowning goat. She's smiling in her sleep. That's how you know it's a dream. No one smiles for real around here. Not since the French disease showed up and decided to vacation in every groin between Florence and Naples. You sit up. The room tilts. You steady yourself on the wall, which is damp and suspiciously warm. You smell your hair, mold, wine, and something vaguely fishy. Nice. That'll sell well to the dock workers. You pull on yesterday's dress, because there is no today's dress. It's wrinkled, stained, and split at the hip. You tell yourself it's ventilation. Your shoes are gone. Lucia probably traded them for garlic, which would have been fine if she hadn't eaten the garlic and coughed directly into your face. No time for rage. You have work to do. Your body is your business, and business, unfortunately, is always open. You open the door. Cold air rushes in, along with the scent of vomit, sweat, and fish stew that's been stewing since Tuesday. Someone shouts, "Whore!" across the alley. You give them a curtsy. They spit anyway, and so begins another Renaissance morning. The art is lovely. The ceilings are painted. But your mattress smells like wet hay and generational trauma. Congratulations. You made it to breakfast. Barely. You stand in front of the mirror. It's not really a mirror, just a piece of polished tin nailed to a plank. But it's shiny enough to reflect your face, and that's already more honesty than most men offer. There are 2 dresses on the hook. One is red. It has a tear up the side and a mystery stain that glows faintly in candlelight. The other is brown, stiff with sweat, and smells like someone tried to boil cabbage in it. You pick the red one, at least it screams confidence. Also, it matches your rash. No corset today. The last time you wore one, it cut off circulation to your ribs, and you blacked out in a confession booth. You still haven't lived that down. The priest won't look you in the eye. Then again, he probably shouldn't. You smear ash and pig fat on your cheeks for color. Technically, it's makeup. Realistically, it's a fire hazard. Your lips? Charcoal and spit. You pucker at the mirror. You look like a tired ghost pretending to be alive. Perfect. You pull your hair back with a piece of twine that used to tie sausages. It still smells like meat. Honestly, not the worst perfume you've worn. You check your feet. Still bare, still slightly green between the toes. You shrug and grab a pair of borrowed clogs, 2 sizes too big. 1 nail loose in the heel. It clicks when you walk, like a judgmental metronome. Outside, the street is awake. Vendors yelling. Dogs fighting. Someone vomiting into a gutter. A nun scowls at you as you pass. You smile and blow her a kiss. The shoemaker's apprentice whistles at you. He has 4 teeth and 1 eyebrow. You wink anyway. Gotta keep the clients warm. The city smells like rotting onions and hot metal. You blend right in. You head toward the bridge where the sailors dock. Their coin is filthy, but it spends the same. Also, they don't ask questions. Especially once the wine starts flowing. A little boy tugs your sleeve and offers you a fig. You thank him, then realize it's already been half-eaten. You still eat it. Breakfast is breakfast. Your day hasn't even started, and you're already bleeding from somewhere new. Welcome to your Renaissance glow-up. You're dressed. You're diseased. You're ready. Your first client of the day is already drunk. It's not even noon. Impressive, really. He stumbles out of a cart wearing velvet sleeves and a smile with too many gaps. He claims to be a merchant. You assume he sells bad decisions and inherited shame. He kisses your hand. You notice his fingernails are black at the base. You tell yourself, it's ink. You tell yourself that a lot. You lead him behind the bakery, where the yeast masks most smells, except his. He smells like money and decay. A nobleman, probably. He slurs something about his wife not understanding him. You nod. They never do, apparently. All these wives, not understanding how to ignore a boil the size of a plum on their husband's inner thigh. He hands you 2 silver coins. One is sticky. You don't ask why. You just wipe it on your skirt and tuck it away. It's quick. Not painless, but quick. You adjust your bodice and walk back into the street. Your hip aches. Your pride died 2 winters ago during the lice outbreak. You pass the chapel. Inside, it smells like incense and absolution. You kneel. You whisper your sins into the wooden screen. The priest on the other side sighs. He knows your voice too well. He tells you to pray 10 Hail Marys and drink less wine. You nod, then go back out and do exactly what you always do, because forgiveness is free, but living costs everything. By the time the bells toll for mid-morning prayer, you've seen 3 more clients. 1 cried, 1 bled, 1 tried to pay you with cheese. You took it. You deserve better. You know that, but you also know better than to expect it. As you sit in the alley, eating that terrible cheese, you spot a new rash on your ankle. You poke it. It oozes. You sigh. Another day. Another symptom. You'll deal with it tomorrow. If you're still breathing, it's midday. You know this because the sun is directly overhead, roasting the top of your head like an overcooked goose. Also, your stomach has begun its daily performance. The symphony of empty things. You search for food. Search being generous. You dig through a basket under the stairs in the brothel's back room, next to the place where someone once swore a cat gave birth to a snake. Inside the basket, 1 rock posing as a loaf of bread. A pear-shaped blob you pray is cheese but suspect is soap. Half a fig, possibly pre-chewed. You pick the bread. You don't bite it so much as gnaw it like a dying beaver. Your gums bleed. That's normal now. Lucia walks by and throws you a wink. Her left eye twitches. Her lips are cracked. You ask if she's eaten. She says yes, then vomits into a bucket and says, mostly. Across the alley, a butcher's apprentice is spitting into the street and fanning flies away from meat that should have retired last week. You stare at the hanging carcasses. They look better than you do. At least they're already dead. A group of boys runs past, yelling something about devils in the drains. You believe them. You find a corner in the shade. It smells like fish guts and desperation, but at least it's out of the sun. You sit, you chew, you try to remember what fresh bread tastes like. You fail. A woman approaches. She's wrapped in black, face veiled. She hands you a bowl of something warm. You blink at her. She doesn't speak, just leaves the bowl and walks away. Inside, mushy lentils, boiled barley, maybe a bone fragment. You eat like it's a royal feast. You cry a little. Then you wonder if it's a trap. Then you shrug. If it kills you, that's one less rent payment. As you eat, a man in priest's robes sits beside you. He doesn't say anything for a while, just breathes. Then he whispers, "You can repent any time." You whisper back, "Can I also get seconds?" He leaves. The sun keeps burning. The bread keeps cutting. The flies are winning. A rooster tries to mount a duck in the middle of the street. Nobody stops it. You finish the bowl. It was mostly water, but warm water, which now qualifies as a miracle. You burp. It tastes like sorrow and onion. Someone screams down the block. Another body hits the ground. You don't flinch. You wipe your mouth with your sleeve, stand up, and stretch until your spine pops like a rotten grape. It's lunchtime. You survived it. Barely. But don't worry. The afternoon is so much worse. You decide to go to church. Not because you're feeling holy, but because it's the only building in the district that smells less like fermented shame. Also, it has benches. Benches are luxury. You hobble across the square, past a man painting a saint's face on the wall. The saint is weeping blood. You relate. A nun stops you at the church door. She looks at your shoes, your dress, your entire existence, then gestures silently toward the back pews. That's where people like you go. The unblessables. The woman who had 3 stillborns. The boy with boils on his face. The man who talks to birds and once married a goat. You take your seat. The wood creaks under your weight, which is impressive since you've lost 5 pounds this week from sweating and existential dread. You cross yourself out of habit or out of hope. At this point, who can tell? The priest steps up. He's young, too young to have opinions, yet somehow already thinks you're going to hell. He starts the sermon. Something about sin, modesty, obedience, something about the fall of women. You stop listening when he uses the word plague and makes eye contact. A woman in front of you coughs once. 5 heads turn. 2 people shuffle away. The sermon continues. A baby cries. You envy it. Crying is still socially acceptable at that age. The man next to you mumbles a prayer. You think he's asking for forgiveness, or possibly for death. The priest now points toward the heavens, voice rising. He declares, "This plague is God's punishment. The sinners will perish. The righteous will endure." You check your fingers. They're trembling again, but only slightly. A child stares at you from across the aisle. You wave. He hides behind his mother. She glares like you farted during communion. Someone coughs again. This time it's you. You feel a dozen eyes. Not eyes of compassion, eyes of calculation, as if measuring your distance, estimating your expiry date. You shift in your seat. The pew groans. You whisper a prayer. "Dear God, if I die, make it quiet, and preferably not while mid-sneeze." The bell rings, mass ends. No one says amen. They just scatter like pigeons avoiding a bucket. You leave the church. Souls blistered, soul untouched. Behind you, the priest blesses a nobleman. He's red in the face, sweating through his silks. No one mentions it. You get a muttered slut and a child throwing crumbs at you. You're not even sure if that's a metaphor. It's midday. You tried to repent, or at least sit still for 40 minutes. And for that, you will now be rewarded with more judgment, more sweating, and probably another rash. Praise be. The message arrives on a scrap of linen. One word, urgente. No punctuation, just the lingering smell of vinegar and perfume, which can only mean one thing. A rich man is dying, and he wants company. You sigh. You were hoping for a nap, or at least a quiet hour to inspect that new blister on your tongue. Instead, you head to the villa on the hill, the one with real windows and fake morals. The doorman doesn't speak, just opens the gate and looks at you like you're a storm cloud made of sin. Inside, it's too clean, too quiet, too floral. You know what that means. Covering up the scent of something worse, you're led to a room that looks like it's never been touched by poverty or reality. Silk drapes, gilded mirrors, and in the center, on a mattress soft enough to make you weep, lies your client, Count Ludovico. Age, unknown. Wealth, obscene. Health, the reason you now carry cloves in your pocket. He tries to sit up when he sees you, but mostly just twitches. His face is a patchwork of sores and privilege. One eye is sealed shut. The other is ambitious. Come closer, he rasps. You do, because you need the coin. Because you've already crossed every line that mattered. He talks about love, about death, about how his wife hasn't touched him since Easter. You nod sympathetically, though you suspect she's just trying to avoid infection and or murder charges. He reaches for your hand, misses, touches your knee instead. You smile, business smile, dead-eyed, soft-lipped, spiritually bankrupt. The act itself is mercifully brief, a combination of weak lungs, shallow breath, and divine intervention. After, he hands you a pouch of coins. Heavy. You raise an eyebrow. Hazard pay, he wheezes. You consider curtsying, but your knees are already threatening mutiny. You stand, you straighten your dress. You glance at the silver mirror on the wall and catch a glimpse of your own face. Your cheeks are pale, your eyes tired, your lips cracked, dry, bleeding in the corner. Count Ludovico says something about seeing you again. You say, God willing. But both of you know he probably isn't. As you leave the villa, the maid hands you a rose. Fresh, fragrant, still dewy. You blink. A gift? A thank you? No, a distraction. By the time you make it back to the brothel, your wrist is burning. Not metaphorically, literally. There's a new sore, round, red, angry. You stare at it. It stares back. You could cry, but you already did that last week, and it didn't help. So you pour vinegar on it, bite your tongue, and get ready for the evening shift, because noblemen might die, but desire never does. The sun is melting behind the rooftops. Everything turns orange, which sounds poetic, until you remember it's mostly smoke from the tanneries and burning rags. You head to the communal washroom. Room is generous. It's a wooden tub behind a crumbling tavern, shared by 14 women, 3 orphans, and at least 1 stray goat. You strip down. You don't flinch anymore when the cold water hits. You only flinch when it doesn't, because that means someone else used the last bucket. The water is brown. With things floating, you pretend it's herbs. You rub yourself with a rag stiff enough to qualify as weaponry. No soap, just ashes, vinegar, and denial. You scrub your arms, your thighs. You avoid the wrist. The sore is growing. It pulses when you move. It has its own agenda now. Lucia joins you, humming a tune from when she still had teeth. She jokes that you look thinner. You joke that she looks alive. Both of you are lying. Mariella tries to braid her hair. It comes out in clumps. She laughs. You all do. It's either that or screaming. You dry off with a cloth that smells like onions, then put on your cleanest dress, meaning the one with fewer holes and only one bloodstain you can't explain. You reapply your cosmetics, ash for eyes, spit for shine, confidence for camouflage. Your reflection in the puddle says, you are not fine. You say, but I am functioning. Back inside the brothel. The candles are lit, not for ambiance, just to mask the stench. There's already a man passed out on the couch. He's snoring. You check his coin pouch. Empty. Figures. You sit by the fire. Someone's cooking broth made from bones and prayer. You pass on it. You still have half a turnip from Tuesday. You poke the sore. It winces. You poke your chest. Still rising, still falling, not dead yet. Which is, technically, good news. You think of leaving town, running, finding a convent, becoming invisible. But then you remember, the convent turned away. Mariella said her soul was too soiled. They said it with a smile. So instead, you tighten your bodice, straighten your back, and whisper to your reflection. You're still here. You're still here. You're still here. Because sometimes, survival is the loudest prayer you can offer. You hear his voice before you see him. Low, slurred, drenched in wine and misplaced confidence. The voice of a man who thinks coins erase consequences. Bellissima, he purrs, pushing open the brothel door like he owns it. Technically, he owns the bakery down the road, but emotionally, he owns nothing. Not his actions, not his children, and definitely not his zipper. You turn away, pretend to rearrange the candle stubs. It never works. He always finds you. Why do you run from me? He slurs, approaching with the grace of a drunk goat. You smile the smile that keeps you fed. Tired, flat, practiced. I don't run, you say. I just avoid slow-moving disasters. He laughs, coughs. Something wet hits your cheek. You wipe it before deciding what it was. He pulls a flower from his coat. A rose, crushed, wilted, thornless. For you, he says proudly. It smells like sweat and perfume from somewhere you don't want to imagine. You take it, because not taking it means bruises, because sometimes flowers are cheaper than safety. I'm leaving her, he whispers. Same promise as last week. And the week before that, his wife, blessed woman, has been left 12 times. She still bakes him dinner. She doesn't understand me, he adds. You nod, because you've learned that agreeing is faster than arguing and cheaper than bleeding. He touches your face. His fingers are hot, too hot. You spot it now, on his neck. A sore, small, red, throbbing. You step back. He steps forward. Don't you miss me? He asks. You want to scream. I miss health. I miss safety. I miss not fearing your breath. But instead, you say, only when you're gone. It doesn't land. He laughs anyway. Then he says the one sentence that drains the last drop of humor from your bloodstream. You should be grateful. No one else wants you. Silence. Even the fire stops crackling for a beat. Then you do something unwise. You look him in the eye, and you say very softly, I know, that's why you keep coming back. He doesn't like that, but he doesn't hit you. This time, instead, he spits near your foot and stumbles out, muttering something about ungrateful witches. You watch him go. Watch his back fade into the dark like a bad decision. The rose is still in your hand. You drop it into the fire. It smokes, hisses, turns black. You exhale. One less lie to carry. It's late now. Too late for clients. Too early for nightmares. The brothel is quiet. Quiet in that eerie, breath-holding kind of way, like the walls are listening, like the air is bracing. You sit by the fire, threading your last unbroken ribbon through the hem of your dress. Not because you care how it looks, but because your fingers need something to do besides shake. Then comes the knock. Not a drunk knock, not a desperate knock. No slurring, no giggling, no clinking of coins. Just 3 short, precise taps. Like punctuation. Someone opens the door, gasps. You don't need to look up. You already know. The Inquisition, 2 men enter first, cloaked in black, faces blank as tombs. Behind them, a third, the one who doesn't blink. He wears a cross the size of a hammer in a robe that swallows the candlelight around him. He scans the room like he's memorizing a crime scene or deciding who will still be breathing tomorrow. Someone, Lucia maybe, tries to greet them. "Brothers," she starts. "Can we?" "Silence," says the one in the middle. That's it. Just the word. Like a blade through bread. He opens a ledger. Your name is in it. You know it is. You don't know how it got there. He reads aloud. Frequent contact with the afflicted. Known association with foreign sailors. Observed entering sacred space while visibly unclean. Persistent. Defiance of social order. Each line cuts like vinegar on an open wound. You stand up, slowly, as if not standing might delay the inevitable. He looks at you, not your face, your throat, as if judgment begins at the pulse. He steps closer. No smile, no threat, just certainty. You want to speak, but you can already feel how useless words are here. They're not here for truth. They're here for pattern, and you fit it. Finally, he says, "You are under consideration. Not guilty, not innocent, just being watched." You nod, not because you accept it, but because your body has learned the shape of survival. They leave. No fire, no dragging, no scream, just the cold draft that trails behind them. The door closes. Someone sobs. No one comforts them. You sit back down. The ribbon in your lap is still in your hand, still unthreaded. Your name is in a book, and that book is in the hands of men who burn things. Maybe not tonight, maybe not you, but someone. You lie down on the floor, not your mattress, just the floor. No prayers, just breath, and the familiar ache of being noticed. For all the wrong reasons. You wake up because someone is screaming. It's not a dramatic scream. No tearing at clothes, no clutching at chests. Just raw, animal sound, like something caught between worlds. You open your eyes. It's dark, too dark, even for this time of night. The fire is out. The window is black. The moon forgot to show up. You sit up, slowly, carefully. Your body protests, as it always does. Each joint stiff with memory, each breath measured like currency. In the hallway, you hear feet shuffling, not walking, dragging. Mariella appears in the doorway. Her shift is soaked with sweat. Her eyes, glassy. Her voice, a whisper trying not to break. "Lucia's gone," she says. You blink. Gone doesn't mean what it used to. It used to mean someone moved. Now it means they stopped. You walk down the hallway. You don't want to, but you do. Lucia is lying on her cot. Still warm, maybe. But still, her mouth is open. Her eyes are closed, but not peacefully. Her hands are tucked under her chest, like she was trying to hold something in. You kneel beside her. You don't cry. You're past that. You just press 2 fingers to her wrist. Nothing. She was coughing earlier. She was always coughing. You thought she'd last longer. She made good soup. Mariella wraps the body in a sheet, not out of ceremony, out of habit. You help. You don't say a prayer. You just hum a tune, Lucia once hummed when she was braiding your hair. It was off-key, but comforting. Someone else enters the room. It's the landlady. She sees the sheet, nods. No questions. No condolences. Just take her out back before the carts arrive. You carry the body, what's left of Lucia, through the alley. The street smells like smoke, wet ash, and rot. In the yard behind the brothel, there's a pile. Bodies. At least 4. One is still twitching. You add Lucia to the pile, gently, because dignity is free and cruelty is crowded. You head back inside. You pass a girl vomiting into a bucket. Her nose is bleeding. You hand her a rag. She thanks you like you just gave her a future. Back in your room, you wash your hands in cold water. There's a crack in your fingernail that won't stop stinging. You ignore it, like everything else. You look at the sore on your wrist. It's bigger, angrier. It pulses in sync with your heartbeat, like it's keeping score. Mariella lies down beside you. You don't speak. She's shaking. You give her your blanket. It smells like vinegar and sleep. In the distance, you hear the sound of wheels. Wooden, rusty, slow. The carts have arrived to collect the day. Someone coughs again. Someone always does. You close your eyes. Pretend you're far away. Not better, just distant. Somewhere without lists, without sores, without screams in the dark. And tomorrow, if you wake up, you'll do it all again. Unless someone adds your name to the pile. You lie down on the floor. Not the cot. Lucia died on a cot today, and you don't want to tempt symmetry. The floor is cold, not refreshingly cold. Bone-deep cold. The kind that sinks into your ribs and whispers, "Let's see how long you last." Your back aches. Your legs tingle. Your wrist? Still throbbing? Still blooming into something that no one will name out loud. Mariella is asleep beside you. Or unconscious. Either way, she's quiet. You listen to the rats in the wall, to the distant creak of wagon wheels, to someone praying 2 rooms over, too softly for God to hear. The blanket you have is thin, threadbare, but it still carries the faint scent of rosemary soap from a client 2 weeks ago. That was a good night. He didn't bleed. He didn't cry. He paid. You stare at the ceiling. It leaks. Always has. You once imagined it was crying with you. Now it just drips. You close your eyes. You open them again. Sleep is not easy when the body doesn't trust the air it breathes. Your thoughts drift. To Lucia's laugh, to the red dress you once had before it was stolen, to the man who promised to save you. He now sells sheep in Florence. You hope the sheep are smarter than you were. You try to count breaths. 1, still here. 2, still here. You reach for your stomach, still flat, still aching, still waiting for something that isn't coming. You whisper to yourself, "You made it through the day." Then you add, "For what though?" No answer. The wind howls through the shutter cracks. A cat screeches in the alley. Something breaks downstairs. No one checks. You roll onto your side, face to the wall. You curl into yourself, a shape smaller than your grief. And finally, your body goes limp, not from peace, just from exhaustion. No dreams, just flickers, faces, fire, the sound of your name being called and never answered. You sleep, if you can call it that, and outside. The city sighs. Another night, another count, another girl who wasn't the knight, or the queen, or the poet, but she kept going, and maybe, just maybe, that's enough.